Hello and welcome. This is Jan Ragnerud, and we help coaches, consultants, business owners scale up using the high ticket model. Now, lots of questions have come in and exist online as well about what high ticket sales is. So I wanted to present this here today so that you can understand better what is meant by high ticket sales. So this presentation is what is high ticket sales. And if you're coming in on my channel on YouTube, congratulations. Please subscribe and get notified when new videos appear. If you're on my podcast, thank you also as well. Appreciate all the love out there, and let's dig in. Firstly, I want to get into defining a couple of parameters here. And it's important to understand these so that you can get the right angle as you dive into further understanding on what is high ticket sales. And that is just simply what is sales, right? So as you can see here, a sale is a transaction between two or more parties in which the buyer receives tangible or intangible goods, services, or assets in exchange for money. And that's a long sentence, but basically, very briefly, it's the activity that happens from person A to person B, and there's an exchange of value there. And when that happens, money is assigned to that value. So that's sales, right? And second, I want to define also, after we've talked about what sales is, what is actually selling. And that is truly the interaction between the prospect and the sales professional. So as you can see, the word selling and the word sales very similar here, but these are really in the selling aspect. We're talking about the actions, and there's a few actions. There can be many actions. There can be obviously short sales cycles, a long sales cycle, especially in B2B, and it's the actions of the salesperson in convincing and or persuading the prospect. And that activity there is the selling activity, and that will certainly affect the sales outcome or outcomes, plural. So with those definitions in place, I think this gives you a good sort of reset or reminder on what sales and selling is. Very similar, but the exchange of value and the activity within, that's exactly what we need to fully understand. So the high ticket definition then is truly the high-priced products and or services that yield high value, high outcomes, and it's the opposite of low ticket. So simply, it is high-priced products and or services. And, depending on the industry here, if you are selling airplane parts, the definition of high-priced is sort of built in. But as we're talking about the industries that I work in, which is coaches, consultants, business owners, and helping them to scale up using a high-ticket model, this truly becomes a valuable conversation, especially when we talk about how it can be integrated into your business. Lots of folks, including myself, back in the day, tended to undervalue or undersell services and products, and that's a different presentation. But you can rest assured that if you're listening or watching this presentation, and you are a coach, consultant, an expert, an author, a business owner, and providing services and products out there, you may be undervaluing and underselling your wares, so to speak. But you can reach out on the website there, janragnerud.com. If you have any questions, happy to jump on a quick call and I'll walk you through what this means. However, let's get into what we mean by high ticket as it pertains to pricing tiers. And as I mentioned, these are market dependent, right? So you can sell airplane parts, I'm sure, for a few $100s, but typically you're going to see high ticket in that area. Again, we're not talking about specialized industries. This is for coaches, consultants, business owners, and you. So a low ticket, and again, you're going to talk to and watch and listen and research this and find that low ticket could be slightly different in these ranges, but this is how it works for us and for me in our industry. A low ticket, under $300. Mid ticket would be the $300 to $2,000 plus, give or take, right? So again, not a black and white situation here. High ticket, $5,000 to $25,000 plus, $100,000 for the year, for instance, for a mastermind, etc. Again, market dependent here, but important for you to understand this. So when we're talking about high ticket sales now, we're really here, I'm calling this out again, from the low ticket under $300 to the high ticket in the $5,000 to $25,000 plus range. And this can be a one-time type of transaction. It could be a monthly transaction, quarterly, yearly, etc. That is more detail than we're going to get into here. Just suffice it to say that if you are in these ranges and you understand what these layers are, these levels from low, mid to high, then you have a good angle coming into this. So let's talk a little bit about how to sell high ticket. It's important to understand what high ticket sales are as we've gone through, and we've looked at a couple of variables from sales and selling and to the definitions. But how do you actually sell this, right? So I talked a little bit about this earlier, and this is an overview. If you want more detail, head on over to my website there, and we'll take you through it. Now, I'm talking about a couple of models here. There's really two that we use, and it's the indirect and direct model. So the indirect is where you're scaling to high ticket through a value ladder, and you may have heard about this before. And if you're watching this, you'll see the value in the on the left side in the graph here, and price on the right side, scaling to the right. And there's a ladder drawn in the middle with an arrow, and you're moving from the low-end tier to the high-end tier. So an example or examples here would be an ebook. You could sell an ebook for $10, $9.95 typically, right? This is the free plus shipping option, where you might have the book is free, $9.95 for shipping and handling, and maybe there's some additional products or things you add to that package, so hence the $9.95, right? Or you just simply say, listen, the book is $10, I include shipping for free. Typically, the other model works best, though. Then you have, say, a course, a training course on how to, write your first Facebook ad, or how to launch your first Google campaign. So it's an introductory course, $397, like under $400, right? So you're going up the ladder a little bit here as you kind of think about that value ladder. Then you're moving forward. Perhaps you're providing the course with coaching or coaching alone at $2,500. So again, you can see you're moving up. And the reason why I call this indirect is because you are basically warming up the prospect through various options that you have. You may simply provide all those services for Facebook ads, Google ads, etc., as we do at $5,000 a month at that point, a minimum 90-day, etc. These are programs that you can basically not only sell as high ticket, but provide really good value and transformational results to the companies, businesses that you work with, So as we move forward up the ladder, you may have specialized events that you combine with this. And again, examples only here, $10,000 for the high ticket event with follow-ups, right? Or you have an annual mastermind, which a lower end of your customer pool join, or your client pool, at $25,000 and up. But now you have essentially, through an ascension model or through this value ladder, been able to start low and go high, right? So you're basically going indirect here by adding value through even free products, low products, cost-wise, on the left side. And as you're moving over and up the ladder to the right, you're scaling up to high ticket. And consider this also, by the way, that there is a simple model of cost, price, and value, and cost being the actual internal cost to you to make the product, to be available with staffing and resources, etc. Then there's the price, which adds in your profit. And the profit can be defined by you in many different ways, but I'm going to simplify it and just say that, for, say, a services model, you may have built in a 60 to 70% profit margin on top of that, depending on how you're structured. Again, this is not a finite rule, but that would explain how you can break down, cost versus price, and then value ultimately, the ability for somebody to 2x their returns, to 10x their returns, et cetera, et cetera. So now you have a nice model using the indirect pricing and scaling to high ticket using the value ladder. Now, do I prefer this versus the next one, which is direct? It really depends. I have learned a lot about this over the years, and we really start at the higher end of the spectrum because of the positioning in the marketplace. But also, frankly, we tend to weed out the tire kickers faster that way. And we have an opportunity to downsell for the ones that are excited to move ahead but may not have all the funds or is not ready to take on the full top end of the high ticket model. So, but you can book an appointment at the website on JONROGNERUD.com. That's my name. And we'll be happy to take a quick 15-minute booked call with you to see if we can help you model this out for your business. It's not a sales pitch, by the way. We're actually trying to help you to understand what's going on. There's a quick questionnaire as well. But let's dig into the direct model. This is the preferred model in so many businesses out there, but it's not necessarily the easiest one to comprehend out the gate. Although when you see this, you may be thinking, duh, this is pretty simple. Well, let's go through it. So there's a grid on here. And on the left side, I have the products A, B, C, D, and the price points for it. And on the right-hand side, we're looking at that 10K a month revenue stream for so many that, I speak to, especially in the coaches, consultants, authors, business owners that have been at this for a little bit, but find themselves working a lot for the revenue they generate. So let's go through this. So product A on the left side, we're calling this a $100 product. Well, to get to the 10,000, as you can see, you need to sell 100 products. Again, simple math here, but I'm not trying to undervalue your mind here and your brain capacity. It's simply looking at this really helps to analyze and think about, I could probably structure my business a little differently and sell less, do more, and gain more. So the next one, product B, is listed for 500 in this example. To get to the 10, you need to sell 20 of those. So again, we're looking at the heaviest type of work in the A category at the top, as I mentioned, the $100 product. That would be what I call the heaviest work in terms of workload. And workload means marketing, sales, appointment booking, follow-ups, documentation, presentations, videos, whatever you all do in there, the funnels, etc., right? There's going to be a lot of positioning and a lot of work. And frankly, if you're not really good at that stuff, you're going to be working your ass off to try and make this work and be super frustrated. And you may be falling into that category of these ads don't work. This organic social media posting, none of this stuff works. I can't sell anything. Well, you may be switching to another model here soon. Now, I should say switching to a new model, which you'll see here shortly, doesn't mean that either is going to work for you if you don't know what you're doing. And again, you can set up an appointment at johnrognerud.com and we'll talk you through it when you're ready. So the B product, as I mentioned, was the 500 sales item. Sell 20 of those, get 10. That's heavy work as well. You have to be somewhat sophisticated to make that happen. And the next one is product C at $2,000. Now here you only have to sell 5, and I say only because the math works here. To make 5 sales at 2,000, that's 10,000. I put lighter work here, right? Lighter work doesn't mean, it means less work in all the things I mentioned earlier, but lighter work means also heavier on the persuasion, positioning, the selling part, right? So that when they come into your funnel and into your world, they are pre-sold and you have set expectations here. You have authority and leadership by this point, so nobody's going to freak out, or there'll be less freak out for the $2,000 price tag, and you sell 5 of those, there's your 10, right? And finally, of course, the D model, the D product, this is where we live in a lot of cases, although we have downsell strategies as well. 5,000, you sell 2 and you got 10, easiest work. And you probably have heard this too. It's just as hard or just as easy, depending on where you're coming from, to sell a lower end ticket versus a higher end ticket price. So consider this model and think about this for your business. And if there's a way to make a shift, yes, you want to do that. And sometimes doing a drastic shift is better than going from, well, we sold it for 100, let's sell it for 200. Again, I'm not talking about a SaaS subscription model here that has been selling for years at $100 and you switched it to 200, you may freak them out. This is more for a services combined with a product type of model. But still, if you can, try and think about, what am I doing now where I can maybe package it a little bit differently? I can position it. I can maybe make it more exclusive. I can sort of categorize this down to a certain segment of my customer list and my dream list, depending on where you're coming in from, cold traffic or existing lists that you have that you might be able to position a little differently. But can you see here the power of high ticket? I think you do, because frankly, the model here took years for me to understand. It was only after a few years, actually about 3 years in business, where I switched it to, at that time, doing SEO services, an increase of about, I think it was about 300% increase. And we lost some clients, but we gained new ones. And interestingly enough, the higher ticket clients were much better to work with, much more engaged, much more willing to do the work. So there's some psychology behind here, not just purely money. So I want you to think about these models as you sort of revise and update your business yourself. So let's talk a little bit about this then, the high ticket client attraction. How does this work? So we've gone through and we've understood the sales part, the selling part. We've looked at the high ticket model from the indirect value ladder, as you recall, and then to the more direct approach with upsell and downsell opportunities. Let's talk about the most popular high ticket funnel and the attraction model for this. And this is the one that we use, that I use, and I've advised clients to use, and you'll find this very often the most profitable, the most highly leveraged, the biggest impact and results-driven funnel that exists for coaches, consultants, business owners that provide specifically services, but also products and combinations thereof. So on the left side, we have the bullseye, the targeted traffic coming in from various sources. As you know, you have your paid, organic, social media, email, etc. There's enough of sources to get you inbound traffic. So I'm not going to cover that, although if you go to the website, happy to set up an appointment with you. We can talk you through how we provide that traffic through organic means, social media means, paid ads, Facebook, Google, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube ads as well. Very big, right? Especially with all the BS that's happening with iOS 14 and Facebook. But I'm not going to go there right now. This is all about high ticket sales. And once that traffic comes in, it goes to a landing page, as you see here, and that lander has a strong offer. It's really targeted to your audience, right? So you want to make that a message to market match, very strategically aligned, where you present a case study, a workshop, a masterclass, a webinar, etc., and that it has impact and value here. So this is not just a bland page with a blah blah offer. This is something that is really valuable to your audience. And offer strategies and offer psychology is a whole different track. But suffice it to say, this is what you need there. Then comes the video presentation. And again, this can be considered a webinar funnel, although this simplified model is the one that is the easiest to manage. The tech stack is plain and simple, and it doesn't involve a lot of back and forth. Once that lander and that lead has been received through an opt-in page, then the presentation starts, and that's a video typically. Once you have that complete, there's going to be a button for an application, and on that application there's a set of questions to pre-screen and validate and confirm that this is an important prospect that you can help. And again, that logic is not going to be discussed here, but that is an important one right there. That takes them to a calendar where they can book a call with you and your team and your setter. So this could be a setter or a closer or simply a solution-based consultant trying to really help this prospect out the gate. We really never come on this call thinking, what package do we sell this person? Let's find out how we can help him. So it's a non-pushy, I put here, non-pushy, value-based conversation where, when they walk away, they will actually appreciate what you did for them. Creates goodwill, obviously. But there's no, throughout this process, you also want to be transparent and say things like, hey, if there's an opportunity to work together, happy to talk about that as well. We have various programs that we can help you with, X, Y, and Z, right? And if you notice here, put down the envelopes here, which are simply email, where you follow up. So as they come in through the lander on the left side, an email gets triggered to welcome them and to remind them to watch the presentation. Again, you can go high-tech here and add SMS and other things. Or just go simple here. If you have done a good job on the front end and the message to market message is tight, you're going to have an audience that's willing and open to receive your information. But I don't want to undermine the fact that follow-up is the most underused and most necessary piece here to make sure that the reminders are being sent. So that's why you see the envelopes and the emails that essentially go out from your left of the side when they come into the funnel, when they fill out the application, but they don't book the calendar, right? Then email goes out. If they book the calendar and don't show up for the call, etc., an email goes out. So there's reminders. And while I talk about email here, that is behaviorally targeted, and this follow-up is being tracked every step of the way with metrics and pixels for retargeting, it's important that retargeting is made and put in place as well, so that you can say things like, hey, you didn't show up for the meeting, which you would send out in an email, but you will also retarget the person and add more value to the cycle. So again, there's a lot of aspects to this to make it perfect, but the simplicity of this and the power of this, do not miss it, right? And at the top there, I did put the switch between application and calendar in the funnel is possible, meaning you come in through the lander, you watch the presentation, they click a button to book an appointment. In a introductory type of funnel, this may be quite useful because there's less friction. Oh, I'll book an appointment. If you use Calendly, you can actually ask some of these questions in an application form right within it. That will save you a step. But it's not always the most highly recommended approach. You have to test it. So you can flip it. Put the calendar first, then the application, or do the application and then the calendar as I put here, or drop the application as a page and a form on your website and simply put it into your Calendly or Schedule Once system. So you can test those things. We typically like to break it out on pages. And that's also for the purposes of tracking everything and having emails firing and pixels firing. And the retargeting strategies are built in to support this model right here. And again, over on the right-hand side, that's when the call happens. It's a non-pushy, value-based type of conversation. Just like if you went to my website, we will be able to show you this model in real time because we use this model ourselves. So JONROGNERUD, it's pronounced JonRognerud.com. Hey, you can jump on there, and we do have some slots available right now. So happy to do that, and I hope you really enjoyed this. I'm closing this out right now, and you can learn more by going to the website. We also have an agency that does this full service. And either way, this is a hopefully helpful presentation for you to understand what is high-ticket sales and what are the various models and what are some approaches to attract the high-ticket client through this specific funnel that I covered right here. So once again, this is Jan Ragnerud. Thank you for now, and have a great day, evening, or night.